gives us information. And the information we receive, sometimes we ignore it, sometimes we listen to it, sort of depends on the day. So I want to invite you to, maybe pay attention to it, see it as that intuitive part of you, and it just might have some really good messages for you. When we look at the journey that we're walking and the things that we're going through, the things that are happening in our lives and in the world around us, we've had some crazy stuff happen in Scarborough this week or yesterday, or was it yesterday, I think, or Friday? And it's like life is happening in ways that are a little bit confusing right now. I can feel a lot of energy of anger and upset around. And, it makes sense. There's all sorts of unknowns. But the truth is, there's always a lot of unknowns. There's always a lot of questions. There's often stuff going on. If it isn't going on for everybody, it is going on for a few. And I think since COVID, there's been a lot of energy that has had us kind of shut down a little bit, kind of withdraw and stay away from each other. I see in the traffic anger. And what I want to say is that we have within us the ability to shift that energy. We can begin to look at the world around us and see what's going on and pay attention in a way that allows us to strengthen our own inner resolve. We truly are resilient. And as we listen to the still small voice and have the courage to follow it, what happens is we begin to shift all of that outer noise, and we come to a place of calm within ourselves, which allows us then to navigate whatever's going on in the world without a great deal of fear. And this is where we want to get to. When you recognize that there's a voice in your head that pretends to be you and never stops speaking, you're coming out of the unconscious identification with the stream of thoughts. And when you notice that voice, you realize that you're not the voice, the thinker, but the one who is aware of it. And freedom lies in knowing yourself as the consciousness behind the voice. That was Eckhart Tolle from Stillness Speaks. When we begin to live from that place of intuition, and we all have it, there's something inside of us that will give us a feeling, either a physical feeling or a thought that tells us to maybe move in another direction, to do something different, to open up to a grander idea, whatever it is. It's important that we take the time to acknowledge that and pay attention, and then begin to act in a direction that feels correct to us. So sometimes we might have a pain in our body, that upset stomach, or, butterflies there, something that feels, oh, I don't know. And it's okay. It's okay. We need to have the courage to look at it, to stand in it and ask ourselves what to do now. What's next? What's on the road for me? So, the little voice in Pinocchio's conscious, who in the fairy tale is the supreme guardian of the knowledge of good and evil, counselor and guide, assigned by the blue fairy. Although it's a Disney character, this character exists in each of us, and it is called intuition. And so the intuitive part of us is really powerful. When we pay attention, and this is where meditation can be so helpful. If we take time in the morning to meditate, to take a little bit of time with ourselves, we can then, in fact, begin to experience life in a new way, in a way that honors who we are, that allows for possibility, that changes the direction that we were headed, and allows us to open up to a grander vision for our life. Not only our life, but for life in general. And as we begin to live from a place of power and possibility, then the world around us begins to shift and change as well. And it's not that it's different, but our perception of it is. In The Science Mind, Dr. Ernest Holmes tells us that intuition is the voice of God in us, or spirit in us, or the universe in us, which includes the ability to perceive truth beyond reason and logic. He also emphasizes the importance of trusting our intuition to make decisions and guide us in our lives. Intuition connects us with our inner wisdom and helps us find answers beyond what we can rationally understand. I think sometimes we try to rationalize everything. Realistically, this is how it should happen. Realistically, this is what should occur. And when we're living from that place, we're actually living from that ego idea. And what we want to do is shift down into the heart space where we listen intuitively. Because sometimes what we are being called to do doesn't seem reasonable. It doesn't seem like that's the right thing. I remember when I moved to Toronto, it was like this big call, but it really wouldn't make sense to the average person to have a one-way plane ticket, 2 suitcases of summer clothes, $40, and no place to live, no job. But somehow that all worked. Somehow I got here and everything happened in really remarkable ways. When we listen to that voice, when we have the courage to do what seems odd or unreasonable, unrealistic, right? How many times do you tell yourself, well, you got to be realistic? No, actually, you don't. Everything that we do, all that we are, is far beyond anything that we can imagine. Everything is what we make it. So if we look around us and there's something that's disconcerting, if there's something that's difficult, then we want to turn around and go, now what? What is it that I can do differently to begin to create a world in which change can occur? And I've looked at a couple of things recently where we're beginning to see some peace happening, where borders are changing so that harmony can occur. So we want to make sure that as we journey along, that we come to a place that we're open to this information, that we are open to whatever is going on, that we are in a place of possibility. If the universe is infinite, if the universe is all powerful, if the universe is all knowing and everywhere present equally, if we believe that to be true, then there is nothing that can block us, stop us, or move us away from that divine spark. So we want to pay attention. We want to pay attention. So one of the most common spiritual practices that we all know about, and some of us really resist because we figure we can't do it, is meditation. Meditation, there's many different ways to meditate. You can meditate on a run. You can meditate walking and moving. You can meditate in absolute silence, sitting quietly in your room, just following your breath. You can use a mantra, a tone, colors. There's so many ways that you can do meditation. And I invite you, when meditation courses are offered, if you're struggling with it, please come and sign up, because this will help you immensely. As we meditate, we begin to clear the clutter. You know, that noise that's always going on? You notice it when you go into meditation. Anybody here realize that? You know, you sit down to meditate and all of a sudden there's this chatter. Did I shut the door? Did I lock the house? Did I shut off the iron? Did I remember? Oh, and I've got to go to the store. I need to pick this up. And what are we going to have for dinner? Anybody have that experience? It's pretty common. It's pretty common. And it's okay. What we want to do is sit in that and just allow it to run. It will tire itself out and eventually it will calm down. It might even stop. One of the things you can do, though, in meditation is to notice that. And as you notice the chatter, notice how it affects you. Does it create anxiety or fear, doubt or worry? Does it feel exciting and wonderful? Just be aware. Awareness is power. So we want to do anything we can to heighten our awareness of what is going on in life and in the world. The meditation practices are really about allowing that heart space to open, our minds to calm. And it's a little bit like training a child. You know, a little child learns how to walk by falling down and getting up again. And it's the same with meditation. We might have a lot of chatter. It might feel really uncomfortable, but we want to keep at it. We want to keep going, because as we do that, we begin to change how we view the world. We begin to change how the world shows up for us. We begin to change so many things. And it's really exciting to do that. It's really exciting to live in that place of possibility, that place of, yes, I am part of this bigger idea. I'm part of this incredible universe. And so I allow myself to be courageous in it, to be brave, to do the uncommon, to stand out in a crowd, do what others might be afraid to do. Just step up and be what it is that I've been created to be. And we all have the ability to do that. Another practice that we can do is visioning. And visioning is not visualization. Visualization is I create a picture in my mind. Visioning is a process by which we train ourselves to hear that still small voice and to grasp the plan that's there for us. You see, at some level, we know who we are. We know what we're here to do. We know what's necessary for our life, and yet many of us resist it. We're afraid of what, our parents might think, or our neighbor or our friends or whoever. We have fear about who's going to judge us for that. Well, guess what? You'll be judged. Somebody somewhere will judge you. Some people will criticize you. Some people will come along and swear at you. It's okay, because that has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them. So as we allow ourselves to let go of our fear, to stand and be brave, as Sarah Bareilles sang, a shift occurs that is deep and remarkable. And that's when we can begin to practice the presence. Joel Goldsmith, in his book, Practicing Presence, tells us the continual practice of presence, a recognition of God in all that we do, providing us with sufficient periods to enter into silence and awaiting an inner feeling that the Spirit of God is moving, makes God the principle that governs, supports, and sustains all of our experience. All of our experience. One of the things I've become very aware of over the years is when I was younger, I was always resisting what is. I was angry, I was hurt, I was a victim, I was blah, 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 all sorts of stuff going on. And one day woke up, pardon me, and said, I need to do something different. I need to do something different. And it is doing the different thing that allows us to begin to practice the presence. There goes my throat. So if I'm sitting in this moment and I allow myself to simply be with what is, right? The voice of somebody coming in and cursing us out. Well, it is what it is. Oh, well, doesn't change my day. And maybe something said will somehow land and maybe change theirs down the road. The reality is that we have an opportunity to simply be present with life, to look at what's going on instead of judging it and criticizing it, to look at it and go, okay, well, it is what it is. So now what? How do I want to move into my future experience without allowing that to derail me? We have the power to do that. We can perceive it differently. We can look at somebody who would come online and curse out a church service to sit back and go, well, God bless them. Obviously, that person's in pain. No need for me to judge. No need for me to worry about it. It just is what it is. And as a result of that, that person, I just bless them on their way. We are in a place where we get to choose our response. And by practicing the presence, we allow ourselves to be fully aware of who we are and where we are. And we allow all outer circumstances to simply be something we're noticing, something we're aware of. It doesn't impact us. It's like watching a movie on TV. It's really exciting and wonderful, but it isn't touching us. It's something we're aware of, we're observing it. And so we can observe the world around us, and we can allow ourselves to look at it and go, yeah, this works for me or this doesn't. And we can choose our responses. We can choose how we show up. We can choose to be courageous and to stand in an idea of truth rather than succumbing to anger or frustration, annoyance, or whatever's going on. So as we journey forward, we want to take time for meditation, for visioning, for practicing the presence, and then we want to take action. Because as we do those things, we're going to receive information. And the information we receive is a call to action. There's something there that's saying, hey, it's time. Step up, step in, get engaged. Do something with your life. Do that thing that's niggling in the back for you. Stand in it and pay attention. We are walking a path. And that path is ours alone. You see, this is a solo journey. Now, we do it together because there's strength in numbers, and it feels good to have people around us who say, yeah, you can do that. Yes, you can. Or I love you. Things that allow us to have the strength to continue to believe in the fact that we are supported in the divine, but also in the manifest world. Ernest Holmes talks about this idea of changing your thinking to change your life. And it's very true. When we change our thinking, we actually allow ourselves to begin to live in a completely new way. When we change our thinking, if we're thinking victim thoughts, then we begin to feel heavy. We begin to feel maybe upset, anxious, afraid. But when we change that thought, and the thing is, that it works because you could be having the worst day ever, and then all of a sudden you get a phone call from someone that you really admire, and they're really excited about something, and all of a sudden you begin to feel that excitement. You're engaged in something exciting and beautiful. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were talking about, how hard it is to kind of change your mind or whatever. And I said, what about when your grandchild shows up to your door? I'm so excited. I can't wait to play with them. There you go. Nothing changed in the experience other than something positive was added and you responded to it. You see, we have the power to change our mind about anything and everything. We do not have to stay stuck. I remember interviewing a woman who has MS, and she talks about, when something happens in her body, because all sorts of weird things happen. Sometimes she'll go blind, sometimes she can't walk, some, weird stuff happens. And when it does, she gives herself 24 hours to, sit in the little pity party. And then she shakes it off and goes, now what? It is what it is. So what am I going to do with it? I can sit in that place of, oh no, oh no. We can do that with what's happening in the world around us. We can look at the world around us and go, it's falling apart. It's always been falling apart. Go back to World War I or World War II or the Depression. It's always been falling apart. There's always been something. There's been COVID. There's been SARS years ago. There's all sorts of stuff that's going on all the time. We had a shooting in Scarborough the other day, 12 people injured in this restaurant that they went to, grand opening. I mean, stuff happens all the time. This isn't new, but we have a choice. We can look at it and crawl into bed and pull the covers over our head, or we can stand up and go, now what? What is mine to do? What is mine to do? I think back to MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. That happened because one woman got really mad and began to create an organization that helped to raise awareness about alcohol abuse and driving. Everything changes when we stand in our power. Instead of succumbing to what's going on around us, getting all fearful and worried and burying ourselves under the covers, we take those covers down and go, now what? What's mine to do? And then we listen to that still small voice. And we have the courage to respond to it. We listen to that still small voice and go, now what? There's something for me to do, or this would not be in my awareness. It would not be in my awareness if I did not have the ability to do something with it. Remember, we are created in the image and likeness of this divine universe. And if that's the truth, what that means is I am a part of it. I live, move, and have my being in it. Whatever it is in me. So if it is all powerful, I too am powerful. You are powerful. If I'm looking at it and going, now what? Whatever I need to know, I can know through that intuitive self within me. I can listen to that still small voice and the message comes through. We begin to live in a new way. We stand with courage, with poise, with power, with possibility, and we live from the divine. We live from that place of power, not power over anyone else, but power within ourselves to know the truth of who we are and our ability to live that truth. To look at the outside world as simply something that was created a moment ago, but can change. And we know it can change. I did a news story Friday night on the Good News on the New Thought Media Network. And it was about two countries that realigned their borders so that they could create peace on both sides. That's a beautiful thing. Watching the Oscars and watching, the documentary where the Palestinian and the Israeli came together and they created this beautiful thing and talked about it. There's stuff going on in our world that's really, really good. So let's put our attention there. Let us begin to see the possibility. Let us begin to see opportunity. In the science of mind, we're teaching our mind is creating our reality. What reality do we want? Do we want to feel powerful, beautiful, strong, mighty, and creative? Or do we want to feel like victims? Simply a choice. I know it doesn't always feel like one, but that's what it is. So let's stand today. Let's stand today in love. Let's stand today knowing that within us there is the ability to create something beautiful. That whatever's going on has already been created. Let us not dive into it. Let us let it be and find a way to love our way through it, to begin to shift our consciousness so that we know something new, something bigger and brighter. Let us join together in consciousness right now and do a little meditation to close off this talk, to anchor these ideas. So I take a breath and I relax into this moment. And I know, without a doubt, that there is divinity within me that is powerful and creative, that there is within me the ability to love regardless of circumstance, to choose how I focus my attention and to focus it in a loving, positive, and powerful way, one that creates change for the better. To look around me and see possibility and opportunity rather than dread, powerlessness. To believe in the power within and to live from it. We open our minds and hearts to know a bigger idea. And when we do this, something remarkable occurs. There's a huge transformation that happens. So take a breath. And again. And one more time. And just know that you are loved. You are loved. And with a grateful heart, I let this be. I let it go. And so it is.